The poem Africa Chants to the Ancestors was written by Sola Owonibi in 2007 to satirize the evils done to African countries by the colonial masters and also call for restitution and justice for all the unjust done to African countries. I read the poem, Generous Mother of the Universe, beautiful, simple, unexplored, until you lost your innocence to rapists across the seas, an eternal stigma. This first stanza takes us back to the pre-independent Africa, the life or how Africa was before the colonial masters came. Africa was seen as the generous mother of the universe. Africa was beautiful, simple, unexplored, just as a virgin is innocent and unexplored. This was the situation of Africa before white men came. Africa was like a generous mother, attending or taking care of many. Africa was beautiful, very much simple, unexplored like a virgin, until you lost your innocence to rapists across the seas, an eternal stigma. Just like an innocent virgin, that was what Africa was like, until the rapists across the sea came. And those rapists are the colonial masters. So the harm they did to African countries brought an eternal stigma. A stigma that may not be able, that will live forever, because the poet called it an eternal stigma. Okay, the second stanza says, Land of civility and culture, embrace the treaties for dividends. The dividends came as streams of sweat, rivers of joy, oceans of blood, yet you survived the claws of angelic hawk, the bruises of satanic hawks, not without a scar. You know, the colonial masters believed that our people were not civilized, our culture was barbaric. But this poem, the poet advocates that our land was a land of civility and culture. Even before white men came, we were civilized, we had an organized culture. A culture, we were civilized, we had our own tradition. But what happens? That land of civility and culture embraced the treaties for dividends. And the dividends came as what? Strings of sweat, rivers of tears, oceans of blood. But still, Africa survived the claws of angelic hawk, the bruises of satanic hawks, but not without a scar. You know, our leaders sold us to the white men. You know, in those days, some of our leaders, because of some little profits and benefits, they signed treaties with the white men. And those treaties they signed with them brought streams of what? Sweat. Sweat has to do with what? Toiling and suffering. Rivers of tears brought pains upon our people. Oceans of blood. You see blood of men shed. You see loss of life here. But still, Africa survived this what? This claws of angelic hawks and the bruises of what? Satanic hawks. So what's the harm the white men did to African countries? The poets referred to those hands as what? Satanic hawks and angelic hawks. That the angelic hawks here refer to the white men. You know, angel and hawks cannot work together. Trying to tell you that white men came like angels, but they were like hawks that came looking for the prey to devour. And bruises of satanic hawks. They came to give us hawks. You know, hawk is not something negative. But this one is what? A satanic one. Satan cannot hug you and will not leave pains, will not leave scars on your body. And that was why the poet said, not without what? Scars. So the claws of angelic hawk, is a metaphor for angelic hawk. White men, colonialists refer to as what? Angelic hawks, coming in the form of angels, but they were hawks. And they left bruises, they left scars on our body. Then the poem reads further, the blood of the enslaved, the souls of the dehumanized cry for justice, cry for reparation. This is where the poet starts to advocate for justice and restitution, reparation. That the blood of those people they enslaved, when the colonial masters came, they took many of us, many Africans into slavery. Some of them were murdered, some of them were treated inhumanly. And the poet says here that the blood of the enslaved, the souls of the humanized, cry for justice, cry for reparation. That there should be what? Justice. There should be what? Restitution. There should be reparation. The white men should pay for all the evils they did to our Africans. Then the last stanza reads, let the cloud hear and tell the rain that crickets may be forced to hold up by the storm. So this is where the poet starts to say that it is good that this story should be told from one generation to another. People should not cease from telling these stories to the coming generations, so that the generations to come or generations unborn will know the kind of evil, the kind of wickedness white men did to African countries. The people should always tell the story so that the current generation and generations yet unborn will know the evil and the stigma the white colonialists have done to our ancestral parents, and so that they will know how to deal with them in order not to let the African heritage finally wipes out.